Welcome back, everyone. I know it's been a few weeks, but I just wanted to kind of touch base, catch you up on what'll be next. I have decided to do the hydraulic press, so I'm going to try to get into town and get the steel picked up for that. The trailer will come in handy because most of the time when I buy the steel, which comes in 20-foot sticks, I either have to borrow the neighbor's trailer or have them cut it down in 10-foot pieces, which the 10-foot pieces isn't usually a problem, but if I need a full something longer than 10 foot, then you have to splice together, which isn't optimal. So anyway, I'll actually be able to use the trailer for that. In the meantime, I am just doing a couple little minor things, not necessarily on the trailer, but related to the trailer. I'll show you, and I have the tractor on here and hauled it. I've done a couple jobs already hauling the tractor, and instead of having to swing around here, instead of having to just swing a chain through the grill guard or things like that, which scuffs up on the paint. Let me sit you on the stand here. I'll show you what I'm going to do. It's nice if you can have a kind of a fixed mount with some chains that'll be set to a specific length, which is what I'm going to do. That way you pull the tractor up to the same exact spot on the trailer each time, and it's much quicker to hook up with probably some ratchet binders. So on the main tractor frame right here, there's already a hole. I could use these holes here on the grill guard, but then that doesn't, it kind of, the loader almost gets in the way of my chain angle. So basically I've just made up a template, paper template here, that's going to bolt in through that hole. That's a 1/2 inch bolt, so I'll use a 1/2 inch flanged frame nut, which is way stronger than it would ever need to be. But this bracket will go on there. It'll be bent, you can't see it there, you can see the angle. It's going to be bent a little bit, and that makes it almost a perfect angle to go from that hole down to this first stake pocket. So then on the bracket, what I'll do is I've got a weld-on hook. These are transport rated. They're G70 or G7 rated weld-on hooks. So that hook will just get welded onto that bracket. Then that whole thing bolts on there, and then that gives you a place to just drop a chain in. So then I can just have a chain that's maybe has an extra 8 or 10 links just in case. And then use the hook on the ratchet tie down to go in the stake pocket. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing on that. I'm going to rig up something on the back. I'll give you a kind of a look here how it fits. There's plenty of room back here at the back. A lot of it depends if I have the back blade on or not. So I'm thinking about making an affair that goes in the pentali or in the drawbar. You'll see a lot of people that will just put a chain through. There's that clevis there. They'll put a chain through there, which technically isn't legal. If you're going to use a tie down, you're not allowed to have a chain in a manner that something could slip within the chain. So in theory, it would hold it down, but that would let the tractor still slide side to side. So you should either have something that keeps it from slipping or 4 independent chains. So I'm probably going to come up with I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'll probably do some kind of a clevis affair that's got maybe same thing, maybe a couple weld on. I've got 4 of these hooks, maybe a bar that goes in there with the weld on hooks, and then same thing, I could have 4 or 2 more chains with ratchet binders that goes to these corner stake pockets. That would see if I can give you an angle. That would give a good angle, because you want to have your chains as much as you can angled, so it's pulling forward and aft, kind of like tying up a boat on a dock. So anyway, I'm kind of working on that today, so I thought I'd do a quick video, kind of show you that. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to do the press. So I've got to get in and get the steel, but I'll probably try to get you an episode at the computer showing the CAD design for that. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so on these I use the same exact technique you guys have seen me use before. These are made out of 3/8 thick by 2 inch wide flat stock. Cut them rough cut them out, clamped them together, tack welded them together, and then on the belt grinder smooth them out so they're kind of a matching pair. on these, usually because of the weld penetration. Sometimes they can be a little tricky to get apart. You don't want to have to grind it all out, because then that kind of digs into the metal and changes its shape a little. So what I typically do is, you can see on the edge, I just clean the weld off, put in kind of that same chamfer that's there. And then what I found, I mean, you could put a wedge in it, but what I found works pretty well is I simply just throw them on the floor. And that breaks them apart. So that leaves me with 2 ears, but they're the shape I want. I'll get the 1/2-inch holes drilled in them and bring it back. One thing I thought I'd mention is the drill bits that I use usually. I have 2 full drill indexes, the 115-piece ones in my toolbox. One kind of for junky drills that if I'm going to worry about breaking or messing up, and then a nice one. But in a lot of cases, I use these step bits, and frankly, to be honest, you can buy a set of 3 of these, like at Harbor Freight, for I think they're like, you can get them on sale for like $8 or $10. And surprisingly, they're tin coated, titanium nitride coated. They surprisingly hold up really well. And so I use these a lot because they drilled a fairly nice round hole, especially in thinner material. This thicker material, a regular bit will also drill a pretty round hole. But you don't have to do a separate chamfering operation. You can just come down to the next size, and that'll do it for you. So I'll just show you a couple of these holes here in case you've never seen one of these stepped bits work. The only thing I don't like about them is I wish they engraved them a little bit deeper, the sizes, because I used to have perfect vision. I don't anymore. And the numbers are so small they're hard to see, so I typically get to throw a pair of calipers on it, and then I just count how many steps to go down. So the 1/2 inch on this one is the 1, 2, 3, the 5th step down. So I just keep track of how many steps I do. And again, you end up with, the chamfer already on it. So just a little bit of a time saver. Okay, I threw those in the vise real quick and heated them up red hot, because that was 3/8 plate, and bent them at the angle that points them more towards the stake pocket, which is one more reason why I want to do the press next, along with the press I have having less width than I'd like. I want to go to a full 24 inches wide, and then along with that I'm going to build a press brake assembly. There's lots of people who have done those online. You can even buy some online ones, so we may do a cost comparison on that one. That'll probably be just like a 2-episode thing. So anyway, I want to be able to build that press brake attachment for the press so that you can bend some of this stuff cold. But ultimately, I'll switch you around here. So that's what they end up looking like. They've got that bend in them that aims them towards the stake pocket. After thinking about it further, I decided that I am going to make those tie downs on the tractor swivel versus being bolted solid to the frame. Either would work, but with the swiveling, that way if the angle of the chain is a little bit different, they'll automatically self-align and there won't be that side load on it. So to accomplish that, I just bored let me grab one of the brackets. I just bored the hole out to 3/4 of an inch. And then in the lathe here, I've got a piece of 3/4 inch that I'll machine a bushing, 3/4 inch OD, 1/2 inch ID, and make it about 20 thousandths thicker than this. So that way when the bolt tightens down, it'll clamp the bushing tight against the frame, but leave about 20 thousandths clearance, so it won't actually squeeze this, and that'll allow this to swivel on that bushing. So thought I'd bring you over here to the lathe and we'll get this machined out and then see how they fit. As is pretty much a normal operation, the first is to face it off, so the square on the end. Next, I'll bore the 1/2 inch hole. One of these days I need to invest in a keyless chuck. Before I part them off into each individual bushing, I just check there to make sure that I'm going to put a little bit of chamfer on it and then make sure that they will fit over the bracket. I'll just cut the parting tool in here. I like to bring it up against the jaw to kind of tell how, make sure I'm perpendicular. I'm just going to use the Joe Piezinski method of setting the parting tool even with the edge. I should have changed camera angle for you. What I'm doing here is I've got a magnetic backed dial indicator set on the way, and it's pressing the end of the carriage, so that way I'm able to traverse the carriage to the left the 375 thousandths thickness of the plate plus an additional 25 thousandths for a total of 400 thousandths. Just a rinse and repeat here for the second one.
A few moments later.
Chamfer on inside and outside. All right, so now the way that works is those bushings slide in there, but they are just thicker than the plate by, like I said, that 25 thousandths. So when the bolt clamps down, it'll clamp down on the bushing, hold the bushing tight, and allow the hooks to swivel. Okay, so I put a little bit of paint on the hooks, and to keep them from rusting up on the bushings, because it's a fairly tight fit, I sprayed those just with a graphite spray, so that should keep them from rusting and also give it a little bit of lubrication. So let me flip you around here and you can see what they came out like. Wish I would have had the dark gray, but I don't. So as you can see, they go on there, but they can be positioned there's virtually no play, and so that way if the chain happens to be pulling farther forward or whatever the case may be, they'll kind of self-align. So I guess that'll, actually I think I'll follow up with a rear mount on the drawbar and show you guys that. Okay, so I decided what I'm going to do on the rear chain anchors. I'm just going to come off the drawbar. The drawbar is exactly 2 inches wide, inch thick, so I'm going to use a piece of 2-inch ID square tubing here, cut it miter on the end, so that'll kind of help the angle of the hooks towards the tie down point. So I'll get that cut off and take you outside and show you how that'll work out. So this is just going to go on the drawbar like that. That'll give me a downward angle towards, that helps it align better with this rear set of stake pockets right there. Okay, so the drawbar pin is a 3/4 inch pin. So I'm just going to drill a pilot hole. I think I'll massage that hole a little bit. Okay, so I got you back out here. What I'm going to do, or I think I'm going to do, is just basically this kind of a shape here. Add a plate welded on there. And then let me grab a hook. That plate welded on there. And then a hook, 2 hooks welded on, one each side like that, and it aims it pretty much exactly right at the stake pocket. So that's what we'll get busy fabricating, and I'll bring you back here when I got the pieces cut out. Okay, so I got that welded up. I added a couple gussets in addition to the triangular piece I showed you out of cardboard. So let me flip you around here and see how it came out. You can see there, just pins on using the drawbar. And then you can see there the back view, the gussets I put in there to help keep that plate from pulling out. It was all 1/4 inch material. So that'll wrap it up for this episode while I'm kind of in between the trailer and the 20-ton press. So should be getting into town the next day or so to pick up the steel for that, and then we'll get going on the press.